the middle of your presentation will ask you questions that requires long explanations. Like what he said. Your question was what? How?
I mean, or he may believe on science, so he may say that how do you know God created God?
Yeah. Like this. How? See, in the middle of your real presentations, he would stop that. Sir, I have questions. Can you prove that God created man? Like it's a huge, big question. Huh? Now, when you have such a question, what your response would be? You say, okay, let me explain you. And it will take whole hours. Then you will what? You will lose your direction. Never try to convince him at one time. You know what you should do? You have your own pre-planned schedule to follow. Now this man is now try to away your directions, distract your directions. Then you will say this, Samuel, and then Samuel, and then you say this. It's wonderful question. You encourage him first. Which write down. When you have a question that is not directly related to your presentation, such as how prove that how God made man, then you will say, wow, Samuel, thank you for the question. You see, when you have a question, that means what? This man is really interested in. See, that's a sign. So we should be encouraged by that. And well, that's the wonderful question. I never thought about your question like that. Just encourage him first, okay? Acknowledge him. Then you say, by the way, Samuel, I will answer the question later. Okay? You underline that. By the way, Samuel, I will answer the question later. And you go back to your trip. Never others disrupt your trip. Never allow. So he feels good. Say, okay, then I know someday he will answer my question. But by the time you finish all your presentation, he will forget, and he will get his answer resolved the one way. That's one of the ways of confronting questions, irrelevant questions. You know the meaning irrelevant questions? Unrelated questions. Satan always will use that man, woman, for using unrelated questions to distract this presentation. Okay, now let's go back to the presentation here. Now change the paragraph again. Now, what was the last time? How about you? He said, yeah, yes, I am sinner too. Yeah, I am sinner too. Yeah, and change the paragraph here. Samuel, in this case, this sin will be called original sin. Original sin, which means breaking relationship with God, Creator God. In other words, Creator and creatures, relationship broken. Creator and creatures, relationship broken, means sin. We are not talking about sins like committing adultery or stealing, lying, or killing people like this. We are not talking about this kind of sins. That is sins between what?
Original.
Sins between human. It's a human relational sin. It's not original sins that we call daily sins. Daily horizontal relational sins amongst the peoples. In Romans 3, see this sin here, what we have here is not relating to the daily sins. We're talking about original sin. Between who and who? God and man. God and man. Now change the paragraph again. Now I am trying to go over the next item. So when we go over the next item, always requires what? Transitional word. Okay? Transitional word is important. Now, Samuel. Now we are sinners. We all are sinners. This is not the end of it. Once you are sinner, then you have to pay penalty for that. That's the transition. God says in His Bible, says about this, that sinner should pay penalty for that. That's a transition. And change the paragraph again. Then Samuel, do you know what kind of penalty you would expect? And he would say, no, I don't know. And say, Samuel, shall we take a look at the Bible then? You see, try to induce him to look for Bible. Instead of, this is the Bible, read it. No, not like that. Okay? Let him be hungry for the Word of God. You try to take him to that kind of situation. Make him thirsty for the truth. And say, Samuel, you want to see what Bible says about this penalty? And then you look at it. You really want? See, sometimes you nag him. See, hey, you really want it? He say, come on, tell me. Let him say, tell me. And say, okay, I'll show you. And he said, Romans 6:23. Number 2, Romans 6:23. Then you open Romans 6:23. Then who was supposed to read? Samuel. Okay. And what you should supposed to do?
Point out.
Huh? You open the Bible and you indicate with the index. Okay, where is it? And then now Samuel will read. 4 means because. The wages of sin is death. Just to finish up right there. You see? That is. So wages of sin, go back to your notebook and you copy it out. And Samuel, the wages of sin is death. The wages of sin is what? Death. So would you look at me here? And you say, Samuel, no. It says here, all men were not sinner, not sin. All men are sinner. And wage of that what? Wages of that is? Wage of sin is death. So you put down Romans under 3:26, sinner. And Romans 6:23 is a death. Or death. So because of sinner, people will be subject to death. Okay? So all men shall die. Because of what? Because of the original sin. All men shall die because of what? Because of sin. What sin? Original sin. Original sin. Then Samuel, you explain Samuel, let me explain you the meaning of the death. At least there are two kinds of death. At least there are two kinds of death. Number one is a spiritual death. And number two, physical death. Now over here, in this case, Bible tells two deaths. This or number one and number two deaths. Here, since you're a sinner, as soon as you become a sinner, you will die spiritually. You will die spiritually, instantly. No longer, spiritual death means you are no longer God's children. That's a spiritual death mean. You are no longer belong to God's family. You no longer belong to God's family. Meaning spiritual death. Not only for that, but also you will die physically because of the sin. When man was created by God, he supposed not to die physically. When God created man, he will not die physically. Physically, he will live eternally without death. But after committing sin, he will die physically. So everybody has funeral service. So that in this death means actually spiritual death, but over here normally I would say physical death as well too. You will die. Physically you will die. Before you hit age 80, most of people will die physically because of the sin, physical death. Okay? So you more emphasize on physical death at this point here. Later we will go to eternal death, which is a spiritual death as well. But now it's a physical death. You emphasize that. Are you with me? Okay?
Yes.
Okay? Because of what? Because of original sin. And now I will be the next step, number 3 step. But you cannot just go to next step without what? Transition. Transition word. Transition, you put down transition. How can you say transition here? Huh? Therefore, no. Now I'll give you Samuel. You put down Samuel. Physical death is not the end of it. Which means after you die, you just die. And you just silent. And no place to go. You just buried in the ground. No, this is not. You are not just die and bury in the ground and just stay there. It's not that kind of death. That's transition here. After you die, you will be buried. However, you will go someplace from there. That's a transition. So this is not the end of it. You see now, a transition is so crucial and important and powerful. Transition. Then he said, you know what would happen after physical death? Samuel? He said, I don't know. Especially those Hindu, Samuel. He said, oh, after I die, I will be what? I'll be animal. I'll be an animal. Like that. But it's not. Our Bible says it's not. You will not be an animal. You will go someplace. You see, that's a very strong point here. Eh? You will go someplace. You want to know where we are going? That's another powerful question here. Samuel, you want to know where you will go? When you say so, say like that, then no one will say no. Because Samuel, you should know where you will go. And Samuel, you want to know, Samuel? No one said, I'm busy, I'm going to go. No one will say that. They say, okay, tell me. See, you have to exercise the power, spiritual power over Samuel. This man now got caught by you. He will not go. You can tell by his eyes. See, he will be arrested by you. You should have that kind of power. Say amen.
Amen. Amen.
Devil will be shaking, trembling. And let us see what the Bible said as to where you will go. Okay? And I will give you Hebrew chapter 9, verse 27. This is a Hebrew 9, Hebrews chapter 9, verse 27. Everybody open your Bible? You have to open your Bible. You have to see the sun. Now who will be reading? Samuel. Now Samuel is reading. Just as man is destined to die once. You see, destined to die means what? Physical die. Physical death. Once. No one will die twice, physically. And after death, to face what? Judgment. You will be under the judgment seat. Look at me. Judgment, there's no E. No E after G. Okay? No E here. Judgment. You will be standing before the judgment. When this will happen?
After physical death.
After how many? What? After 1,000 years millennium period, and you will be. This is the judgment. Everybody agree?
Yes.
Everybody agree?
Yes.
Yeah. You can write down someplace. After the millennium period, you will be. And non-Christians will, look at me again. Non-Christians who died without Christ will resurrect.
Yes.
And Christians also will resurrect. Write down that. Those who died, both Christians and non-Christians, will resurrect at the moment of, at the end of the millennium period. At the millennium period, and Christians will go to where? Will go to New Jerusalem and new heavens and earth. But non-Christians will go where? Will go to hell. Tell me what hell in Greek language? Huh? Gehenna. Right. Very good. Gehenna. That's the Gehenna. And you have another name? The name of fire. That's different from abyss. Abyss is what? Hades. And Sheol, that's a temporal place. Some of you do not respond to me. That means you do not know. Terry, you know difference between abyss and hell? Okay. And people who are living during the 1,000-year period, non-Christians will go to hell, living non-Christians, and living Christians will go to new heavens and earth. Okay? And those who died, Christians will resurrect, and non-Christians also will resurrect. But non-Christians will go where? Hell, and Christians will go to heaven. Would you write down that? Okay. Also for your reference, non-Christians who died before this time will go to where? Abyss. Abyss. Non-Christian. Abyss. You have another name. Hades. The same name. And Show. And dungeon. Okay. And okay. The beta is okay. Bottom. Less. Pit. It's all same name. So non-Christians who die will visit and stay in hell. You should not go here. Who wants to go here? Sala, you want to go? No, never, never. But how about Christians who die? Paradise. Paradise. Christians who die will go to paradise. So all these are temporal, temporal place. Temporal place. When we got to that point here, non-Christians who are here will what? Will resurrect. Will resurrect. Because they died. Okay? And non-Christians who are living will, there's no need for resurrection. They will go where? They will go down. They will be under the judgment. And who will be the judge? Jesus. Jesus said, you go down there. You go down there. We will not be under the judgment. But these people will be under the judgment. And say, Jesus said, you go there. You go there. Where? He will direct his hand to hell. You go there. You go there. And they will all go. So both Christians and non-Christians will resurrect. Do you agree?
Yes.
Do you agree? Okay. Is that clear here? Based on that understanding, let's come back here. Now here, all are sinners. Would you write down again? All are sinners. We have to repeat and repeat and repeat. Many, many times the repetition. All are sinners. And they will, because of their sin, that means a breaking relationship with God, and they will die physically. They will die physically, but after they die, that means where do they will go here?
After they will die, they will go to the abyss.
Abyssos. Abyss. They will visit, they will stay in abyss. Then, some years later, then they will resurrect and stand before what? The judgment. Judgment. It's a court sentence. Judgment to get sentenced. Now, would you turn up your handphone? Now, Samuel, after judgment, the transition, after judgment, these people will go to some place after judgment. This is in book said in Revelation, chapter 21. There are other verses here, but I will give you this. Revelation chapter 21, verse 8. And I will give you another one that's more particular for verse 13 and through 15. So try to stay in verse 8 here. Now, would you look at verses 13? Instead of 13, try 12. Try 12. 12, and then it gives you a story here. Instead of 12, beginning with 11, then it gives you more detail. You see, now, you put down that starting 11, this, you know that judgment here? That name of judgment, what can we call this? White throne judgment. White throne judgment. 예, 한국말로는 백보자 심판. Would you say after me? The white throne judgment. Because it's white throne judgment. Jesus is standing on the white throne. It's a white because what? It's white. It's clean, washed by the blood of Jesus. It's a white throne. He will be sitting on the white throne and making the judgment. Now here, verse 11. Chapter 20, not 21? No, I'm sorry. This is a 21, it is a Revelation chapter 20. Verses 11 through 15. Yeah, this is a kind of reference here. Can you read it? Okay, let us read it. Verse 11. Shall we read together? Now John saw this scene here. So then, would you read together with me? Then I saw a great white throne and him who was seated on it. Earth and sky fled from his presence, and there was no place for man. And I saw the dead, great and small, standing before the throne, and the books were opened. Another book was opened, which is the book of life. The dead were judged according to what they have done, as recorded in the books. The sea gave up the dead that were in. The dead and Hades gave up the dead that were in them. You see right here? Tell me why it said the dead, the death and Hades gave up the dead. What do you mean by it? Would you underline that? Why the Hades gave up the dead? You see, the people who died in the past stayed where? Stayed in Hades. The Hades will give up the dead, meaning what? They will resurrect. They will resurrect from where? From the Hades. Yeah. Joel is very good boy. He's the only one answering back to me. I want to hear from Filipinas. So who gave up to that? Hades. Hades. Hades gave up to that, and that were in them. And each person was judged according to what he has done. Then the death and Hades were thrown into it. So lake of fire. Would you highlight that? Lake of fire. And then he said, the lake of fire is the what? Second death. Would you highlight the second death? let us use that. So instead of 21:8, we want to use this better. Revelation 20, verses 11 through 15. So it said here, this is hell. After judgment, you will go to hell, and what death is? Second death. What will be the first death then? Physical death. Yes. So I'm going to put down this. It's the first death. And the second death. This is a very short presentation that would show us non-Christians' destination clearly. And Samuel will be heard this clearly from you. Let me repeat. See, I'm repeating many times. Why do I do this? For you to memorize. You are sitting here conveniently, comfortably, just listening and listening and listening, but not memorizing. All men like me try to teach you with sweat. Do this, do this, do this. You're just sitting here, not paying too much attention. Then it will be unfair, isn't it? So memorize it. Let me do it again. Long, you say. So I'm repeating again. I hate to do that, but I have to do it. Why? It's for you. You know how many times I've been doing this? Thousand times for people. Long time ago, God created man. And their relationship was good. Whatever, see? Close relationship. But, and then you're going here, what is it? You use the transition word.
The relationship.
No.
But
No, that's a direct, that's too much direct.
One day.
You have to, one day, something was happened. That's a transition. Don't try to direct, connect information. Always use transition word. That's a sign of a good speaker. See, I've been spending 2 hours with you here. You don't feel it's a long hour because simple. I try to make you interest. Why? In what way? I use transition word all the time. That's a good speaker. So when you observe a speaker and try to find out whether this man using good transition or not. If he doesn't use good transition, then message will be very dull. And that makes you sleepy. Long time ago, I'm repeating again. What is it? You say. Open your mouth. Open your mouth. Everybody open your mouth. One day. Something happened. That's very powerful. Then he say, what happened? What happened? Let me ask that kind of question. What happened? Okay? Then God what? God? No, man. Disobey God. So their relationship was broken. That we call sin. So this sin is a different, we call this sin is what? Original sin. So original sin, this sin is different from our daily sin. Such as, what is it? Such as daily sin. Lying, killing, or adultery, whatever, bad things, stealing. We are not talking about, you see when I say, we are not talking about this, like that. We are not talking about this. No power. Would you say, follow me? We are not talking about this. We are not talking about this. We are not talking about this. You have to show this man your enthusiasm, your craze about it. You are fully convinced by this truth. You have to show it by your behavior, your attitude, your facial expressions. Amen. Then they will not listen to you. You have to show them that this man is really, really sold by this message. Just, oh yeah, it's original sin, and no power. Salesman, like this computer salesman,
Yes.
after he sells, he will get $100 profit, or not commission. This man, before he sells this kind of machine, the company trained them how to sell. All the good things, all the bad things, how to use people, what language you have to use, they teach them through their seminar. In order to make them $100 for their commission. Once this computer salesman, got convinced by the fact that our computer is better than others' computers. Samsung computer is better than whatever, Saudi or any German made or Japanese made. They teach them. Ours is better than any other product. Then you have to have a conviction that, yes, ours is best. Then you are able to sell this computer. If you don't have that conviction, you cannot sell your computer. When customers say, well, Samsung is no good, Sony is better, price is better, and longevity is better, durability is better, then you say, yeah, they are better, then you cannot sell.
I have to prove my production is best.
You have to prove it. Then you have to say, you see, reason I joined Samsung rather than Sony is that because the Samsung product is such better. That's why I'm here. You gotta show them that you are here. I'm selling this because I believe it. I believe it. Gospel is the same. You are not just transmitting your knowledge. No.
The gospel sells.
You gotta have a burning heart for this. That this man, if you don't listen to me, you will go to hell. So I want to save you. I want to save you. You gotta have that kind of compassion within yourself. Amen. Without that, you cannot sell the gospel. That's why I've been practicing and teaching you by repeat. So I'm very hot. My body is all wet because of sweat. Can you see my face? Huh? Why should I do this? You don't pay me. Do you pay me? God will pay me later. So wherever you go, you just give them free lessons. Don't expect any income out of your teaching. I'm showing you not to charge for your teaching. When you are invited by any church or whatever, when they say, we will pay you 2만 원, say, that's okay. You should see, AMI school is different from other schools. AMI students should be different. You go there, no, you don't have, I will just do it. And who will pay you later? Oh, God will pay you 100 times or 10 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times more than long time ago. And then now we are here. Now here, everybody is sinner. Then transition. Transition.
One day.
One day.
Nothing happens.
Okay, after from number 1 to number 2.
Today.
What transition?
But Samuel,
What transition? Use your sense.
Samuel, you know, sin had to pay some.
No, don't give them answer. This is the answer. But you before answer, you gotta have something to induce answer.
There is some, but Samuel, there is something serious. I have to say.
No.
This is not the end of it.
Wait.
So you are sinner.
Every sinner.
No. You are sinner. But sinner, you are sinner. But that's not end.
Not a,
Sinner, okay, yeah, I'm a sinner. This is not the end. You have something behind it because of the sin. Okay, write down that part again. That's a very important part. I gave you that already, but try to put it down again. Again. The sinner, so you are sinner. Everybody, we accept that. Okay, Samuel, you are sinner. But sinner position, yes, you are sinner. But that is not the end. Something will be followed because of this. Something will happen because of that condition. See, you put down that, then he would say, what something? See? What something? What is it? And Bible said here, you will die physically because of this. You see, you have to have that inducing question. You will die physically. Romans 6:23. But then after that, you have, physical death is not the end of it. Then something will follow after that. What is it? It will be, you will have judgment. When you have time, you can explain all this. Listen, look at me. If you spend too much time on this part here, then your original your plan may be diverted. But make sure when you branch out to that, you have to come back to here. If you ask other branch questions, then what would you say? When other questions, irrelevant questions, and you say, by the way, where is heaven? Like that, okay? Then what would you say?
It's a good question. Very good question.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Very good question.
But I will explain it later.
Yeah, I will explain it later. And no one say, do it now. No one say that. Then after judgment, you will go to hell, the lake of fire. That's not the end, but real terminal place. Real end is right here. So this is just, isn't it interesting and convincing plan of God for those unbelievers? So they can see clearly their destiny. They can see clearly. So our job is to show them your clear destination is this, according to the Bible. And write down again, that's the end. And he would say, I don't believe in Bible. He would say that. I don't believe in Bible. And you just tell them, it's okay whether you believe or not. There are many doctors and lawyers and professors, millionaires, very smart people. They believe this. They believe Bible. Many people who are far better than you believe this. You know how many people? About 1/3 of the world population. 1/3. 33% of the world population believe this. Believe this. So you don't have to believe it, but always be humble. There are many people far better than you believe this. I am one of them. Okay? Don't fight against him. Tell them this is the fact. So, would you like to hear more? He say, okay. Because he say, more. Many smart people believe this. So why don't you just find out what they are believing? Now let him continue to follow you by telling like this. Does it make sense to you?
Yes.
Huh?
Practice.
Practice. You should do the same to your students. Practice. Now, go back to practice. Our Father in heaven, thank you for this time. We want to learn more, but learning is not enough. But the learning is a basic framework in our forming our thinking and lifestyle and life objectives. So now we are building up our framework. Help us, Lord, to build up the right and solid and concrete framework in our lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
There are many satellites orbiting in space. Most of the satellites are for military, television, or data communication purposes, but only a few satellites are being used for radio. Currently, digital satellite radio broadcasting is attracting much keen interest.
Digital satellite radio broadcasting is an effective medium of communication. This is because the most up-to-date information and communication means, such as cable TV, telephone, and computer-related communication devices, are still in the primitive stages in third-world countries. Digital satellite radio is a new medium that greatly extends the scope of current radios. Digital satellite radios have many advantages. The digital satellite radio receivers are relatively inexpensive compared to other sophisticated electronic communication equipment. They are easy to assemble, install, and carry. Therefore, they can be made available to large numbers of people in a short period of time. Furthermore, the cost of network transmission is much less expensive than that of other types of radio broadcasting, such as shortwave, AM, and FM broadcasting. For these reasons, digital satellite radio is the ideal way for Christian broadcasting to reach all parts of the world.
AMI Satellite Broadcasting Incorporated is now using the AsiaStar satellite that was launched by the World Space Corporation. AMI programs, as well as other programs such as CNN, BBC, and Bloomberg, are already being transmitted to all of Asia through the AsiaStar satellite. The AsiaStar satellite broadcast coverage includes Korea, Japan, China, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and all other Asian countries. In fact, the satellite covers most of the Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, and Communist countries. About 2/3 of the world's population is within this region. Tragically, 97% of these people do not know the gospel. Furthermore, most of the countries in these regions are economically poor, undeveloped, and are hostile to Christianity. Therefore, AMI will serve as God's tool to fulfill the Great Commission of Jesus Christ in the most impossible, hard-to-reach, and least evangelized regions of the world today.